Hello, this is Hope Roski stepping in for Mike Briggs with Briggs on Books. And today we have, all the way from Canada, author Lydia M. Hawk. Lydia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Hope. I'm delighted to be here.
I am so glad you are here today. There's so much to discuss. You have been writing for, you said, a very long time. What was it that brought you into writing?
I was always a reader, and I was never quite satisfied with how the stories ended, so I wanted to write my own versions, and then I wanted to write my own stories, and it's just something that I've always had a passion for. I love words.
As a former teacher, vocabulary is something I always focused on, and especially when it came to adjectives, adverbs, because they're the things that really embellish a story. The descriptor words, or the verbs, the adverbs describing the verbs, and it draws you in. If you're the person on the outside who's reading into the story, those are the type of things that captivate you. But it's interesting because, as you said, you want to write for an older group of women, but it's based on fantasy and the paranormal. How did you derive to wanting to go that direction for that specific group of women?
I was approaching my 60th birthday, and I was discovering some interesting things in my own experience and in talking to my friends. And that is, there's a certain level of invisibility that happens when you hit a certain age. You tend to lose a little bit of relevance almost because your family is grown and they've got their own lives, and you're just my question was, what now? Because I mean, I was only 60. I didn't feel old, and surely there had to be life after 60. And it occurred to me that I wasn't seeing much of that in books, in fiction. And I wanted to write a story for myself. I wanted to see myself in books. And so I thought, well, if I want that, then perhaps other women will want that as well. And I was right.
Well, women certainly like fantasy. That's
We do. We like the power idea of it because I think that a lot of women have felt powerless.
hmm
History has not been kind to us. Society gives us a hard time sometimes.
Sure.
And that feeling of powerlessness, uh, the paranormal helps alleviate that. The idea that you can be, witchcraft. And I love that whole realm of magic. I love that idea.
So you just melded the two together. So let's talk about some of the things that you have accomplished in your life, and one of them is a five-part book series, correct? And that is called the Crone
It's
Wars, right? The
the
Crone
Crone
Wars.
Wars, yes, because I
Yes.
think I'm funny. So I love a good play on words. And,
Yes.
Clone Wars, Crone Wars, it was a given.
And tell the viewers a little bit about what they can anticipate, because there are five parts to that collection right there.
Yeah, yeah, that is an ongoing series, and it starts with I've got the first book here. This is the large print edition because I don't have any books of my own right now. But it's about a 60-year-old woman, because I was approaching 60 and she was a grandmother and her family was grown. And then she discovers on her 60th birthday that she is actually a very powerful witch. So instead of having, the 16-year-old or the 18-year-old come of age with magic, I had a 60-year-old grandma, because what could be more fun than, you're done, you've lived your life, you've done well, and you're looking forward to retirement, and then all of a sudden you discover that no, you're supposed to save the world now. And there's an element of no, this is not what I signed up for, and an element of roll up your sleeves, because somebody's got to get it done, and that's what we've always done. We've always rolled up our sleeves and done what needed to be done. So the five-part series is the continuing adventure of this grandma as she finds herself deeper and deeper into the magical world. She's got a rather hot wolf shifter as a protector because, we need a little bit of romance in there. And she has a very sarcastic gargoyle, living gargoyle that comes to life. And there's Arthurian mythology woven into it, and there's parallel universes woven into it, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it's fun. It's some parts of it are dark. The women who read it, they love the humor, and they love seeing themselves reflected in a character in a book. I think that is wonderful, and they call it fun and empowering. And that to me says so much. I've done my job there. If I'm
Yes, well,
empowering women.
and as somebody who is in her 60s, that is, that fun and empowerment is something that is a feeling that I'd like to continue to carry through. And I can tell you that within my peers, they feel the same way, to have that fun, to have that light, to have that empowerment. We've been through so much in our journey of life, and this is just, it sounds like a great way to be lifted, if you will.
Yes, because I mean, like, again, only 60. We've got a lot of living ahead of us.
Yes. Yes.
And there should be some fun in there.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. So let's talk a little bit about your next series that you have out. So, it's interesting for geology when you talk about obsidian rocks, if we could just pull that up on the screen. Your next series is called the Web of Obsidian, and I think you have one called Web of Obsidian Sisters, correct? Series?
The trilogy is the Obsidian Sisterhood,
There you go.
and the first book is A Web of Obsidian. The second is coming out next month, and that is A Tangle of Obsidian. And then there will be one more book later this year, and then because it's a parallel story to my Crone books, the main characters will meet in a final Crone book that will tie the two worlds together. Because I'm an independent
interesting.
author and I get to do this.
Yes. So
A
you're
publisher
actually
would have looked
bringing
at me
the
funny.
two, right? So you're bringing the two together, which is,
Yes.
I think, very creative on your part. So once that all wraps up, will you continue with those series, or will you maybe shoot into a different direction, I should say?
If you had asked me a few months ago, I would have said, no, that final book will be the final book in the Crown Wars. But of course, then, the little imagination wheels get turning, and I'm like, well, there is room. We'll see. I do have a literary agent, and she has suggested that we try and get something into the traditional market, which would mean stepping away from the series, but staying in the same vein. The books that I'm writing for older women are really, really resonating, and I have a lot of fans who they love that older woman idea, and I do too. I mean, the older I get. In A Web of Obsidian, I have a former nun who is 69 years old. Now, I'm not quite there myself yet, but there's still life in the old girl.
Absolutely. So if some of our viewers would probably be interested, what is the best way to order your books?
I have all kinds of links and so on my website at lydiahawkbooks.com, and that's Hawk with an E at the end of it. I have my own ebook store. I will soon have print books up available there, but you can honestly go into any retailer online and look up the book or my name, and everything will come up, because I've got audiobooks for all of the Crone books now, and Web of Obsidian has an audio as well. So print, large print, I try to cover as many bases as I can.
That's wonderful. And that's so appreciated because there are people that may have challenges, and people, when they're driving, they love listening to the audio books. And me, I'm old fashioned. I like to turn the pages and smell the paper.
I
I
do
know that
too.
sounds kind of funny, but I mean, everybody just has a different way. But it's so important to have that large print for those who do have visual impairments. It certainly helps them continue the joy of reading.
It does. It does.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate you coming on again. And we're going to bring up the other collection of books as well. And I just want the viewers to see that one more time. It's called The Crone Wars. And again, viewers, if you're looking for a series, and especially I would say women, if you're kind of in that 60s zone and you're looking for some fantasy and a little bit of paranormal thrown in, this is going to be a great read for you. Again, it's called The Crone Wars. The author is Lydia M. Hawk, and we are, again, so glad to have you on the show, Lydia. I hope you come back and join us again.
Thank you ever so much. This was lovely.
It was, absolutely. This is Hope Roski with Briggs on Books. Hello, this is Hope Roski with Central Valley Talk, Business, Arts, and Events. Well, I have an event that's going to be coming up on June the 7th that if you have a bike and you want to make a difference, this is going to be your bike run. Today I have some special guests here with me in the studio. Jill, welcome to the studio.
Thank
Jill,
you.
why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about
Okay.
yourself and why you're
Okay.
here?
Okay. My name's Jill Althizer, and I'm the Executive Director of Helping Hands Pregnancy Resource Center with centers located in Oakhurst and Mariposa. We've been serving the Oakhurst community for 27 years and the Mariposa community for 11. We're a Christ-centered ministry that offers life-affirming alternatives to abortion with compassionate support and practical education. We fulfill our mission by offering free confidential pregnancy tests and options counseling, where if she is pregnant, we're able to talk to her about all of her choices should she be pregnant, the choices of parenting, possibility of adoption. If she is abortion-minded, we just want to educate her about with her permission. We always ask her permission for any information that we share with her. So we'll educate her about abortion procedures and the possible emotional, physical, and spiritual risks that can come from that decision. And if she wants, we can talk to her about fetal development as well. If she's considering adoption, we will refer her to an adoption agency. If she decides to parent, we have a parenting program where she can learn about childbirth, caring for a newborn, and if dads are involved, we invite them to come. And it's an Earn While You Learn program, so we actually give them baby bucks for coming to class and doing their homework. And then we have a baby boutique where they can buy diapers, clothing, and other necessities for their children.
Well, what a great concept that is to help educate, those who are pregnant
Right.
or they're trying to make that choice.
Right, right.
But this is where you guys come into it. Lloyd and Daryl, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Okay, so you're a part of Bikes for Christ, and you're working in partnership with Helping Hands here because in order for Helping Hands to continue on, they have to have money raised. And what you gentlemen are doing is you're doing a bike run coming up on June 7th up to Bass Lake, which is going to be beautiful that time of year, and raise money to help with this organization to continue to go. So if you would, Lloyd, tell me a little bit about how you got involved with Bikes for Christ.
Well, I got involved with Bikers for Christ back in the Bay Area back in 2016. And then I did a job transfer and came up here and transferred for Bikers for Christ here. And I've been here for, I think, going on 6 years or so.
Wow, that's great. So, Daryl, how did you get involved with Bikers for Christ, and how did you then get involved with Helping Hands and doing this run?
I've been involved with Bikers for Christ for the past, I believe, 11 years now.
That's fabulous.
And
Good.
I got involved, a good friend of mine happened to be one of the members of Bikers for Christ, and I decided to go hang out with those guys for a while and see some of the good things they do around the areas, and it kind of worked out good.
So then how did all of this develop in coming into collaboration with Helping Hands? How did that all start?
Well, I wasn't here in the beginning. I've been in the last, I think, 3 or 4 of them, so I'm not sure how it all started. But I know that what we do is pretty awesome for Helping Hands, raising money for them and helping them to function right and stay in what they do the best, which is a blessing to all the people out there, the women out there that, pregnancies and things like that. And it's a blessing for us to be able to raise money and help them out. It's a wonderful thing, and we see God working in so many ways in that.
Absolutely. And so, again, you are a Christian-based organization. And how long have you both been riding, just in general? I mean, okay, that was like, okay, goodness. For a while.
I've probably been riding on and off since I was 15, really, so 50 years. 40-something years.
Okay, Daryl?
I've probably been writing about 40 years, back off and on.
Wow.
Okay, Jill, have you been writing at all?
No.
Okay.
I'm a chicken when it comes to motorcycles.
Okay, all right, just kind of curious on how that all unfolded.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's kind of interesting when you talk about Bikers for Christ, you know, people, unfortunately, they sometimes project an image when they see bikers or whatever, you know, and whatnot, and they unfortunately have, you know, maybe an image, but what you're doing is you're bringing God together in your world. How did that all, Daryl, come about? How did that all happen for you?
I've seen some of the things that need to change in my life, and I decided to instead of going one way, I went the other way. And then, like I said, we're a motorcycle ministry, and this gives us an opportunity to go out and actually and minister to other people who need help out there. And I was one of those people who needed the help and need ministering too.
So Jill, how did you find Bikers for Christ, or did they find you?
I think they found us. I believe this is their 18th bike run for us, and so it just kind of started back then, and it's been an annual event. And we are completely privately funded. We don't receive any government funding, and so we rely on individuals, churches, our fundraising events, and businesses, and events like the Bikers for Christ to raise funds for the ministry. So it's really nice that that they do this for us, and we show up, and we get a free breakfast, and then we try to help them where we can, like setting up. They have a huge silent auction and a raffle, so we try when we can to help with that. And then we have a table there with our information so we can
Sure.
share it. And our parenting classes are for all parents, from newborns all the way up to I don't know what to do with a teenager. And so, and all of our services
Jeez,
are
let me
Yeah,
ponder that.
I know,
No, I'm just
right.
kidding. We think of some past that point, but no, I
Right,
understand. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so all of our services are free, so we
Mm-hmm.
don't charge for anything. And we also can offer Bible studies to our clients as well. So.
That's great. So
Yeah.
Lloyd, when you go out to, you know, you're saying Daryl was sharing that you go out and minister. Do you have like set dates that you go to certain places in the valley to go do your ministry?
Well, what we do is we really keep an eye on the different runs that are happening throughout the community, in the biker community, you know, the biker clubs and different things. And we go out there and make ourselves known. You know, we get a chance to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. We do. If we don't, we try to be like him there so they can see a difference in what God can do in their lives. And also, you know, we do hospital visits, you know.
Oh,
because
how
it's-
wonderful.
When you're in that community, it's about relationship. You don't just dive in, you develop relationships. And as you do that, they begin, you know, to trust you more, to know you more. And we try to hit as much as we can for them. It's for them, really. It's just
That's
something.
wonderful. What a true blessing. Daryl, about how many members would you say you do have?
We have 16 here in our chapter,
Okay.
but we're all.
You're all over, but
yes,
here in the
yes.
Fresno area, you have
Yes.
about 16. Okay, and there are probably some viewers out there that are saying, you know, how can I get involved and learn more? Well, the first step is showing up for the bike run on June the 7th. Where do they need to meet, Lloyd, for this event?
Mountain Christian Center. It's off Highway 49. I don't know.
I believe we have a flyer that's out.
Okay,
If you
so
want
there's
to
a
see the
flyer that's out that
Oh.
shows where they're going to meet, and then you're going to take
In
that
in Oakhurst.
in Oakhurst, right? And
yeah.
then you'll take that route up into Bass Lake, which will be beautiful that time of year.
It'll be a nice run, and it's calculated pretty good, so you don't have to worry about getting all crazy or nothing.
Right, and so the people need to also know, bring your credit cards, because there's going to be some silent auction items.
yeah.
Yes.
And then,
great
of
gifts.
course, anytime you just even want to make a donation, there's a way to do that. And we're going to just introduce two websites to you. I'm going to have Jill tell the viewers right now, if you will, about if they want to make a donation, if they want to just help
Okay,
out in any way,
okay.
where could they do that?
Our website is, and you have to type it in, is www.friendsofhelpinghands.org.
Okay.
And there's a place they can donate there.
Okay, www.friendsofhelpinghands.org.
Right.
Great. Okay, and then you said you have 3 locations, correct?
And we have two.
Two, okay.
Oakhurst and Mariposa.
And Mariposa. Well, maybe at some point you can think about a third one in the Fresno area too. You never know, right? Raise enough funds and that can happen. And then again, Daryl, if you'll tell the viewers your website, if people are interested in learning more about Bikers of Christ, how could they do that?
That's bikersforchrist.org was.
Okay, great. And we have that up there, bikersforchrist.org is the website that you will go to, and that will give you information about the organization and how you can get involved. But we surely hope that people will show up on June the 7th. Is there an entry fee for this, Lloyd?
There is an entry fee. It's a $25 entry fee for single rider, and I think an extra 15 for the passenger.
Okay, great. That's
But
wonderful.
That also includes your free breakfast. You get all little
Lunch.
trinkets between that. You have lunch.
Oh,
And the
fabulous.
ride, you get the ride, and, there's a lot.
It's a great time.
No,
out there.
okay, so let me ask you this. What if somebody isn't per se going to be bringing up a bike, motorcycle? Can people follow in cars and still participate as
Um,
well?
I don't think
All are
that would
welcome
be.
to the event.
All are
Yeah,
welcome?
All
Welcome.
welcome to the
Yeah.
event. There's a lot of things to do at the event
Right,
itself.
yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
There'll be music, so
Oh,
just
okay.
come out and have a good time.
Well, there you go. When you said music too, that's, nothing like the hum of the bike and some music going
There
and
we
you
go.
get revved up and ready to go. Well, again, folks, look, this is a cause that's helping in 2 ways here. So we have the Bikers for Christ here. They are here to help Jill in her mission to help educate women who are pregnant, who are making the decision. They also offer Bible study classes, parenting classes. What a great option for young teens to take a look if they're facing that very difficult decision. And these gentlemen here, they're helping to make the difference by fundraising. And not only do they do that, but they also minister throughout the area as well. Is there anything that you'd like to say in closing? Just to show up,
Show up.
be there, and show up, right? Okay. This is Hope Roski with Central Valley Business Arts Events. Hello, this is Hope Broski with Briggs on Books, and today I have author Fred Weehee on the show. Fred, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hub.
Oh,
It's great to be here.
well, it's great to have you on, Fred. So, tell the viewers a little bit about how you got into writing. I'm always fascinated with authors. It's like, what drew them into writing?
Okay. Well, I have been at this for quite a while. My first published novel was in 1997. But, I wrote three novels before that that never saw the light of day. And I think that's pretty typical. As you practice your craft, the first novel or two maybe don't go anywhere. But the third one hit. Um, but how I got started was in college. I just needed a fun class to take, to get a break. I majored in history and I needed a break and I needed a fun class to take. So I took a creative writing class and I got bit by the bug. Uh, I just fell in love with it and I started writing just for myself. Um, just little things, short stories, um, one or two novels. And then I decided that and I wrote more nonsensical kind of stuff, kind of like Kurt Vonnegut, Richard Brautigan kind of stuff, trying to find my voice. I was really into them at the time. Um, and then I read Watchers by Dean Koontz, and I said to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to scare people. Um, and so it kind of took off from there. And like I said, my third novel did get published by a Canadian publisher. It's called Starkville. It's still out there in some form. That was in 1997. I think I brought it back with another self-publishing thing, iUniverse in 2000. Um, and it's still sitting there. It's still available. You can buy it on Amazon and other places and that. But I've had a lot of novels and books since then. I think
That-
I've lost count, 13 or 14 now.
Fabulous. Well, which one would you say, because you have such a selection, do you have one that you are drawn to the most? And if so, which one and why?
Well, that would probably be the Collected Nightmares. Um, it's a collection of short stories. I think there's 12 short stories, two novellas, and 17 poems.
Oh,
I wrote that. I started writing it before the accident, but I had an accident back in 2013. I was bucked off a
oh,
horse,
my goodness.
threw me 8 feet in the air, came down on my back and head, um, had multiple injuries, broken ribs, collapsed lung, amnesia, concussion, broken wrist, ruptured tendon in my thumb. Um, if I would have I was told that I missed the round pen fence with my head by just inches. If I would
Oh,
have
my
hit that, I probably would
goodness.
have died or ended up like Christopher Reeves. Um, and it was a long battle back. It was like a two
Sure.
year um, process of getting my health back. And during that time, got back into the Collected Nightmares and started writing it. So a lot of the stories in there are not based on my recovery, but is inspired or motivated by recovery. It's a
It's
lot darker
interesting
than
that,
some of my other stuff
right, but well, what's
because that's where my head was at. I was at a dark place,
sure.
recovering and in a lot of pain. So that one's very personal.
Right, and I was going to say, for somebody who is drawn to writing horror stories, I mean, that is a real life horror experience. I mean,
Oh
for
yeah,
you. And
uh,
that you
it
probably,
was.
did you take some of that horror that you had and that feeling of fright and then transferred into some of your other writings down the road?
Yeah, it crops. It still crops back up into some stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, I like to connect into that dark place that I was at the time, and
Sure.
the the pain that I was going through during that recovery process. Um, I still have problems. I still have like pain in places like in my ribs and stuff
Sure.
that have never really gone away.
Well, in some
So
ways, it
it's easy
seems.
to connect back into and go to that dark place. And you know, things about that day and about the recovery process and that seem to crop up in some stories sometimes. I get
Right.
back into it and use it as motivation or inspiration.
Well, in some aspects, it seems somewhat cathartic to a degree that it just,
Oh, very.
just to be able to release some of that, for you, and then, to the people who are reading, being able to, I mean, really sense that real life experience that you encountered as well. So, I mean, moving forward from that experience, and I thank you for sharing that because that was just an eye opener, but it also takes into effect in some of your writing and where it's going. So let's talk about your latest book that you have out right now. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, that one is called Stories That Haunt the Mind and Soul. Um, Paranormal horror. There's 13 uh, short stories in it. Um, all with some kind of supernatural thing. There's actually one with an alien, a UFO alien. There's ghosts and one with a werewolf and paranormal activity. Um, all very supernatural. I would say they're dark, but there's some lighter ones too. Um, I'm trying to remember some of the titles. Hold on. I've got it
Okay.
right here. My mummy was holding on to it
Your
for
mummy
me.
was holding on to it. It's almost
Uh,
Mummy's Day, too.
yeah,
No, that was a bad joke.
he's my assistant. Like Showdown at the Old Emery is a little lighter. It's about a demon who has come to this old movie theater to collect a soul. Only the old man dies, and the demon is so into the movie that he's watching that his soul he doesn't collect it. The soul goes on to heaven. And now he has to hang around and try to collect another soul to take his place, or he can't go back to hell. So he's been around a long time, and he's been waiting for the man's wife to die so he could take her soul. And she at some point notices him out of the corner of her eye, and so she starts hunting him. So now it's an adversarial thing between the two going on in this old theater. He's been stalking her. She's now hunting him, and it goes off from there.
Wow. So that does seem fascinating. It seems like it's going to have a very good climax to the story there. So, in talking about it, it seems like you have some interesting characters. Do you have a character that you have repeatedly used? And if so, which character? Um, and why do you like that character so much?
Ah, that's a good question. Well, I have a character that I've used twice. Um, his name is Alaric. So Alaric Monster Hunter was my first bestseller back in 2011, 2012, something like that. Um, he is a 200-year-old gypsy that hunts monsters for bounty. And he has a secret to why he can be 200 years old. Um, and there's a lot of gypsy lore and legend in it. It's my kind of my homage to old time horror. There's zombies, werewolves, vampires, um, a mad scientist that is kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of character. Um, that all comes together. He usually has to hunt and kill and exterminate monsters, but a zombie shows up at his door one day in San Francisco, knocks on the door, and hands him his own business card. It's a zombie that can still think and still communicate somewhat, and the zombie's a gypsy. So now he needs to find out why this zombie is different, and he starts investigating it and finding other zombies that are um, under the same circumstances. Now I've used him. I love this character because he came to me in a dream, uh, and I've used him again. He's there's actually a novella in the Collected Nightmares that is a sequel to Alaric Monster Hunter. Although you can read it as a standalone, you don't need to read the novel first. But so he shows up again in the Collected Nightmares in a novella. Um, he came to me. My wife came home one day. She and my youngest son. I can't remember where they were, but they saw this old World War I monument uh, to soldiers that had died in World War I, and they found this name, Alaric, on it. I can't remember if there was a last name or if they even told me the last name. And my wife said, "Here, we found a really good name for you for a character in a story, Alaric." And I went, "Yeah, that is a good name, but what am I supposed to do with it?" And she goes, "Well, you're the writer. I gave you the name.
Come up with something, right?
It's up to you to come up with the story,
Yes.
right? And the character." Um, and then a few days later, I woke up, I had this dream about Alaric. And I woke up and I went, okay, I've got my story. I've got my character and I've got my story. And it went off from there. So um, I really like this guy. He's kind of an anti-hero, kind of along the lines of, I'll go way back because I'm old to Clint Eastwood and his spaghetti westerns
Yes.
that he
Okay.
did, kind of that anti-hero, where he's not all good. He walks the line between good and evil,
Right.
but he's better than the monsters that he hunts.
Right, of course.
you know, so
Sure.
and he'll do anything to protect his friends, his family, his loved ones, and the gypsy community. And if he has to cross that line from good to evil to do it, he will.
Wow. What's interesting is when you said the name Alaric, it brought me back to when I used to teach and I had a student with that first name. So it just, you don't hear that
Wow.
name very often, but it is a great name for a book too. So I just want to go back and pop up your book again. Now, again,
Yeah.
you probably, like you said, you have about 13, 14 books. How are people able best to order the book that you just wrote? The Story for the Mind and Soul.
It's all over on. You can basically get it wherever books are sold. If there's a bookstore in your community that doesn't have it, just ask them to order it.
Okay.
But if you go to my website, fredwehe.com, I have all the online stores. I have each book that has a summary, reviews, and then links to where you can buy it. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Smashwords.
Sure.
They're all basically available in ebook, paperback, or hardcover form. Some in all. My newest one is out in paperback, but the publisher is saying that he wants to bring it out soon in hardcover
Oh, great.
and in audiobook form. So it should be available sometime this year in those two forms, as well as ebook and paperback.
Okay, great. Well, Fred, it has just been a pleasure talking with you today, and I learned so much about you, and I think the viewers did too. You have had quite the journey, and it's so fascinating to see how you have integrated that in with your writing style.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you bet. This is Hope Roski with Briggs on Books. And again, if you're interested in ordering any of Fred's books, please go to fredwehe.com. Thank you.
And just so people
yes,
know, my last name is spelled Wiehe.
There you go.
And it all runs together. Don't spell it Weehee like
Right,
it sounds
right.
phonetically. It's Wiehe.
W-I-E, that's right, H-E. All right,
Yeah.
Fred, thank you so much. Have a great day. And again, this is Hope Roski with Briggs on Books.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.